Thank you for coming. Sit. I'll be with you in a moment. The spinning cage. It's a traditional elven toy. But you wouldn't know that, would you? This is something I'm working on in my spare time. As a toy maker, I encounter many fibs, lies, omissions. People say that they have been good, that they deserve a gift, that they deserve a reward, when in reality they have been anything but. My name is X'ym Bygel of the Elven Imperium, and I am simply a humble toy maker. And so, you must wonder, Lone Hunter, why we summoned you during such an important time. I have summoned you to congratulate you on the success of your mission so far. On behalf of the Elven Imperium, I thank you for your service. It must be difficult to betray your own kind, and then become another, only to betray them once again. And I'd wager that you don't necessarily know why you are doing it, or who you are. Have no fear. You're safe here. Court. Those people, those fools, saying that you've been developing a pantheon. Little do they know that they are as the spinning cage. A cage that when you spin fast enough, doesn't look like a cage at all. It looks like nothing. That is the seed of chaos. A seed that you've already planted. Herbologists, knights, royalty. Is this the world we inherit? One of tradition, in spite of progress. The orcs are achieving more than the elves. Your kind, lowlanders. Technological advancements that will render our own obsolete, weak. That is why you have agreed to do this. But you do not know why you have. And so, I offer you a story. A history lesson, if you like. The tale of my kind. To add a prologue to your own. And naturally, as I am but a humble toy maker, I shall use some of my finer pieces to relate to you. And then we shall discuss the completion of your mission. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, when the world first woke up, an elf rubbed her eyes in disbelief at how beautiful everything was around her. She had never seen the world before, because there was no light when the earth had its eyes closed. She felt blessed and decided that it must have been because of her own beauty that the world finally decided to open its eyes, because how else could it behold her without the light? She declared herself the princess, because the slumbering earth that gave life to all that lived had awoken for her. And for a long, long time, she ruled over the world. And after she had returned to the earth herself, her children and her children's children all ruled in her stead, all sharing her name and all just as beautiful. But a cave elf who had been there when the earth first awoke didn't think that the beautiful elf should have been princess of the world. He thought that the earth had opened its eyes because of the loud echoes he had made in the caves. He was a noisy elf. He saw how the elf princess bathed in the light and used her lie to rule over the other elves. The cave elf, who had always dwelt in darkness, consulted with his shadow, who had appeared when the earth had opened its eyes, and who was his closest ally and trusted friend. The shadow agreed that the princess was a liar, and that all the other princesses were liars too. But what could they do? The other elves believed that their god had chosen the princess, and so none of them would ever turn against her. How could you kill something that was not alive, but an idea? And that's when the shadow had an idea. Because the shadow wasn't real, it made sense to him that he could kill something else that wasn't. The cave elf smiled. This was a good plan. And so, the cave elf became close to the princess, her closest ally and trusted friend. In fact, they became so close that the cave elf started to see the princess's beauty. And, in turn, though he could be annoying, the princess started to enjoy the cave elf's voice, and they fell in love. Centuries passed, and the cave elf all but forgot about the plan he had hatched with his shadow. He and the princess were so in love that they decided to combine their lineage, so that their children may continue to rule together. They gave birth to a beautiful baby girl and a strong baby boy. All was good. But then the shadow returned to remind the cave elf of their deal. The elf didn't want to go through with it, explaining to the shadow that he had changed his mind, that the princess was indeed good and the rightful ruler. But the shadow told the cave elf that he had been corrupted by power and seduced by the ideas he himself had decried as false. And so, against the wishes of the cave elf, the shadow slew the princess because the shadow looked like her love. She did not suspect a thing. The world closed its eyes again. All was dark. The cave elf saw his love dead and realized that without the light, his shadow was also gone. All had been for nothing. The light of his life was gone. He watched as the darkness gave birth to all kinds of unusual creatures, monsters, and distortions of pure fey. The cave elf was furious. He declared that he would not rest until the darkness had been vanquished, and that all the creatures born of shadow were no more, and that he could slay the shadow that had betrayed him. To darkness he would return, but for folly, for shadows only exist in the light. In his rage, the cave elf forgot about his children. The elves did not know what to do. The daughter declared herself princess, and that all who believed in Mother Earth should follow her to reawaken their god. The son declared himself emperor, stating that he would rid the world of darkness and uncover the lies of light, so that their god would indeed awaken. And so, the elven world was split into two: those who followed the Princess of Light, and those who followed the Emperor of Dark. There were even some who awaited the return of the cave elf, the one true ruler. And then, There were those who would seek an end to all rulers ordained by God, that the elves should govern themselves as they saw fit. But the light has still not returned. Well, what do you think? That is supposedly the story of our people. Would you believe it? Well, you wouldn't believe it if you read it in a book, would you? We're trapped in a spinning, chaotic, invisible prison. And I would not have that. I would have the elves liberated to progress, to continue our millennia of rule. And you are instrumental in that, Lowlander, because you are going to kill the princess. You are going to kill the princess and liberate all of us. By showing us the gilded cage we are locked in. There is a man, a lowlander like yourself. He awaits you in a copse not far from here, by the river, the river Elch. He is a dark fellow, a shadow, but he is your friend. He will provide you with fermented caliber blood, a completely untraceable poison. Whereupon you are called to aid the princess with your tinctures, your potions. You will administer the fermented blood, thereupon killing the princess, who is not ordained by Gaia, who will not cause the world to eat itself upon her death, but instead will put an end to that wretched line and allow the elves a true seat of earned power, not given. The Imperium remembers its allies well. There will be such a time when lowlanders will be welcomed as equals. And you, though now elf, will have been instrumental in achieving that. X'ym Bygel does not forget its friends. And I will not forget you. For vile though the task is, necessary as it become. And that is why I have called you. And for that very purpose is why I dismiss you. Go. Fulfill your destiny. Or don't. Regardless, the same end will be met. Neither shadow, nor light, nor dark, nor fire. Simply being, achieving, thriving. Goodbye, Bernard. Good luck. Would that we meet again